A very good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to all of you, depending on which part of the world you have logged in from. My name is Siddhartha, Chaudhury, and I will be your instructor for the Financial Accounting and Reporting paper of the CPA curriculum. Let me quickly ask you, and you all can respond in the chat box. How many of you have already registered for this course at VGLD? Good afternoon, Alam. Hi, Rachita. Hi, Ashish. Mahavir, you have registered. That's good. Chaitali, good afternoon. Swapan. Okay, Karvi, yes, you have interacted with me already, Karvi, I remember. Then we have Arjun, Guru, Mayur, Kritika. Okay, great. So most of you have already registered. Welcome to the program. So if you have already registered, you would know certain facts about this program. But for the benefit of those who have not yet registered and are looking forward to registering themselves, let me quickly talk about the CPA program in general, and then I will come to the Financial Accounting and Reporting paper of the curriculum. So this is a 4-paper exam. You have Financial Accounting and Reporting, Auditing and Attestation, you have Regulation, and then Business Environment and Concepts, right? You can take the paper in these 4 papers in any order. You can take FAR first, Reg next, Audit third, BEC fourth. If you want, you can take BEC as the first paper, FAR as the second paper. You can take it in any combination as you want. There are certain linkages between the papers, right? So therefore, it is important to have the knowledge of all the 4 papers before you start taking the exams, right? For example, in the Financial Accounting and Reporting paper, you have a topic on deferred taxation, in which you will have to have some knowledge of the US taxes, right? Because at the end of the day, deferred tax is the temporary differences between IRC and GAAP. So you need to know the GAAP rules as well as the IRC rules to be able to calculate deferred tax. So you need to have knowledge of regulation, to take the exam on FAR. Similarly, you need to have the knowledge of FAR to take the exam on audit, because at the end of the day, what are you auditing? You're auditing the financial statements, which are prepared under a general purpose financial reporting framework, which is US GAAP or IFRS, right? So to take the paper on auditing, you have to have the knowledge of FAR. So there are linkages between the papers. Similarly, in regulation paper, you have to have knowledge of FAR, because in regulation also there are schedules that we prepare, M1, M2, M3, M4 schedules, where we show reconciliation between book profits and taxable income, right? So knowledge of the 4 subjects is important. And then once you have gone through all the 4 papers, you can start taking the exams in any order that you want. Having said that, it is not necessary that you must have gone through all the 4 papers. It is not necessary. It's a good to have, right? It's an ideal scenario. But yes, if you want to just study for 1 paper, sit for that exam, then start studying for the 2nd paper and sit for that exam, and so on and so forth, you could do that as well. The only thing is, like I said, for the Financial Accounting Reporting paper, if you're sitting for that exam first, you need to have some knowledge of taxes, because for that just one topic on deferred taxation. So for that, what they have done is, in the deferred taxation topic, they have given you a summary of all the differences between GAAP and tax, right? So if you don't want to go through entire regulation paper, you can just go through those 2 or 3 sheets of summary, of differences between GAAP and tax, and sit for the FAR exam. So there is a solution to every problem. You have to decide, how you want to approach this whole thing, right? And of course, we'll all be there to guide you in this process. Now, let me also quickly talk about the exam as such. It's a 4-hour exam. All the 4 papers are 4 hours each, right? And it's a mix of multiple choice questions and task-based simulations, right? Only in the BEC paper, you also have, on top of multiple choice questions and task-based simulations, you also have a section on written communication, right? That's only in the BC paper. Now, in that section, they are not testing you on your, on your technical knowledge, because that they anyways are testing, in the papers, right? In the other three papers, and of course in the MCQ section and TBS section of BEC. So in the written communication section, they are not testing you on your technical knowledge. They are more testing you on your communication skills, your English, and also your thought process. How do you approach a particular problem, right? So they'll give you a scenario, and they'll tell you that you are either the CFO of the company and you have to take a particular decision, or you are the finance manager or the finance controller who's getting the audit done of the company. The company is getting audited and you are coordinating with the audit team, and the auditors have come up with certain issues which you don't agree, and therefore you have to write a memo to the CFO explaining why you don't agree with the auditor's observations. And this is just an example. There could be different types of scenarios that they could give you, and they want you to write a memo on that particular aspect, that where they are not testing you on your technical knowledge. Like I said, they're testing you on your English, and also how you approach a problem, right? What is the stand that you're taking? So these are 4-hour exams, MCQs and task-based simulations in FAR, audit and reg, and MCQ simulations and written communication in BEC, right? The passing percentage is 70, passing as in the passing marks required to be declared as pass is 75, right? But this is percentile. It's not percentage, it's percentile, which means it's a comparative assessment, right? So if you are on the top 25 percentile, then you will be declared as pass, right? So you will not get to know your real marks. You may have got 70, but still have gotten 75 percentile. On the other hand, you may have gotten 85, but still landed up at 74 percentile, right? So you will not know your real marks. You will only get to know the percentile where you stand, right? So if it is 75 and above, you will be declared as pass. The third aspect is, the timing of the exam, as in what time of the year you can take. So let me just take a step back and tell you how it used to happen, right? Pre-COVID, and even before that. So earlier, like long back, Indians had to travel to the United States to take this exam, right? It was not available anywhere else for Indians, right? And many other nationalities across the globe. They had to travel to the US to take the exam. Then in 2014, they started the Dubai center. I mean, started as in they started allowing Indians to go to the Dubai, Middle East centers, Dubai and Sharjah, and a couple of other centers, and you could take the exam from there, right? So which was a lot of respite to Indians, because of course Middle East is closer, it's cheaper, the airfare is cheaper, the hotel stays are cheaper, etc. And then you didn't need so many leaves, because to travel to US you would need at least 2 weeks or 3 weeks leave from office, and then go and take the exam. But Middle East, people started taking just the Friday off, and then they would go on Friday, take the exam on Saturday, and come back on Sunday. And sometimes they would not even, for whatever reasons, they would not even disclose in their office that they are doing CPA, they are pursuing this course. They would just take Friday off, go and take the exam, come back. And then once they would clear and become a CPA, they would disclose that they have cleared the exam. Anyway, so that's a different matter. Whether you disclose it in your office or not, that's a different matter. But what I'm trying to say is that that opportunity suddenly was available to Indians. But then post-COVID, they've started center in India, and I'm sure you all are aware of that. We have a center in Gurugram. You can simply go to Gurugram center and take the exam, right? It's a prometric center. You have to block your date. So on blocking the date, this is not a typical exam like like we have in India, where you have a date sheet and everybody is going and taking the exam on that same date. It's not like that. Here there is complete flexibility. You can plan and schedule your exam whenever you want, right? If you want to take the FAR paper on let's say 1st May, and you want to take the reg paper on 2nd May, you can do that. If you want to take the FAR paper on 1st May and reg paper on 1st June, you can do that, right? You can take all the 4 papers on the same day. You can schedule one paper in one quarter, next paper in the next quarter, and so on. There is complete flexibility. It totally depends on whether you are ready for it or not, right? So the moment you are ready, you have to go and to the site and block the dates. Of course, our admin team will help you in this entire process of determining your eligibility, registering you with the state board, and then when you are ready for the exam, they'll also help you in blocking your date at the Prometric Center. So all that assistance will be available. This is just for knowledge sharing that I'm doing this, that when you are ready, you have to block your date. It's not like everybody's taking the FAR exam on the same date. I could be taking it today, you could take it tomorrow, anybody else could take it another day, and so on and so forth. The paper is not a standard paper like the questions that I will get, you will not get those questions. They have a huge question bank, and it's through a computerized system, artificial intelligence and whatnot, that the question paper gets sort of gets prepared for you for that day, for that slot. It's only for you. Next slot, anybody else taking the same paper will get a different set of questions. Okay, so you can take the exam from Gurugram, and there are many other centers across India. I believe there are about 8 or 10 centers across India, right? So again, the admin team will help you with all that. I think there's one in Bangalore, there's one in Mumbai. There are many Prometric centers all across India. And of course, if you have logged in from other parts of the world, then again, our admin team can provide you with the list. Middle East, there are centers, Japan, Brazil, of course, the United States, Canada. There are many centers around the world. Okay. Next thing probably that I want to talk about is the time period within which you have to clear all the exams. So first of all, the Becker software will be available for 2 years, right? 24 months from the time you log in for the first time, right? So so when you register yourself with Becker, they'll provide you with a link, and I believe you all have that already. If not, then again, contact the admin team. They'll help you in getting the Becker access. So once you have the Becker access, your time starts, and it's going to be there till for 24 months, which is a good enough period of time to clear this exam. Because like I said, there are just 4 papers. You clear 4 papers and you become a CPA. There is no articleship. Those of you who are coming from the CA background, you would know what I'm talking about. In CA, of course, you have to go through articleship and this training. But in CPA, there is no articleship requirement for taking the exam, right? You can simply sit for the exam, clear all the 4 papers, and then if you want to go for a license, then you have to train under a CPA, or you have to get a certificate from a CPA that you have the requisite experience. Okay, so some state boards say that you have to work under a licensed CPA for a certain period of time, right? But some state boards say that you don't need to necessarily work under a CPA. You can get a certificate from a CPA that you have the required work experience, right? So even that will count. And also the time period differs from state board to state board. Some state boards have 2 months, some have 6 months. It could be 1 year, of that training period before you can get your own CPA license. By the way, let me tell you that CPA license is not mandatory. And, there are, in fact, majority of CPAs around the world don't acquire a license ever in their lifetime, right? Because they are working in the corporate world, and they're in a job, and for that you don't need a license. You only need a license when you start your own practice, and you are into attestation services where you have to sign as a CPA, right? So other than that, you don't need. So if you intend to get into practice and get into attestation services, auditing and attestation services where you have to sign as a CPA, then you will have to acquire your license. Now, generally, people will acquire a license from the state board from which they have appeared for the exam, but that is also not necessary. You may register yourself with California State Board now, take the exams, clear all the 4 papers, but then you decide to practice in the New York State, then you can apply for the New York license, right? Even though you have cleared the exam from California State Board, right? The only thing is that you have to transfer your credits from California State Board to New York State Board to get the New York license. right? So there is a process to it, and you have to follow those steps. And once you follow those steps, you can apply for a New York license. You can also have multiple licenses. You can have California license as well as New York license, and you can have multiple. You can have all the 50 state board licenses, if you want. But of course, it involves money. First of all, applying for license involves money, and then year on year, you have to keep on paying the license fee, right, to keep it alive, right? So there is cost involved. So obviously, you would not go for more than probably 2 or 3 at best, right? And most people will have only one license. And in fact, I'm saying most out of those who will go for a license, right? Out of all the CPAs, most people will not even have a license ever, right? Because if you're working in the corporate world, you don't need. So yeah, coming to the timing. So you have to clear, once you clear the first paper, you have 18 months to clear the remaining 3. Okay, so once you clear the first paper, I'm repeating, once you clear the first paper, from that date, you have 18 months to clear the remaining 3, right? If you don't clear all the remaining 3 within the 18 months, then this first paper that you had cleared, right, will lapse, and you will have to appear for that paper again. You don't have to repeat the entire, there is no group system over here. You don't have to appear for all the 4 papers again. You just have to appear for the paper that has lapsed, right? Similarly, if you sit for an exam and you don't clear that exam, you just have to appear for that exam again. You don't have to appear for the entire group of 4 papers again, right? So it's not a group system, it is individual. The 75% that I said, you have to the 75 percentile, you have to get in each individual paper, right? So it is absolutely paper by paper exam. It's not a group concept that's working over here. At the exam center, calculator is allowed, okay? But like I said, it's a computer-based exam, okay? It's not a pen and paper exam, it's a computer-based exam. You have to go to a Prometric center, you have to book your slot, right? At the appointed time, you have to reach there, half an hour before time. So if your time is from 10 to 2 p.m., 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., you have to reach latest by 9:30 a.m., right? Then 10 o'clock, your exam starts. There is an official break of 15 minutes where the clock stops, okay? Yeah, that time won't be counted. It's an official break of 15 minutes. And then, overall, so therefore, it's overall 4 hours. It's overall 4 hours plus the official break of 15 minutes. So 4 hours, 15 minutes, and then you have to reach half an hour before time. So that makes it 4 hours, 45 minutes. So the total time that will be required, there is 4 hours, 45 minutes. Plus, add to that your travel time from wherever you are traveling to the Prometric center at that time. You have to keep that buffer in mind. Okay. Yeah. So, so it's a total of 4 hours, 45 minutes, window, and then add to that your travel time. So you'll have to keep that buffer. It's almost that day is gone. So obviously, needless to say, you'll have to take off from your office on that day, at least, if not before, for revisions. But on that day, you cannot think of, generally speaking, you cannot think of going to office on that day, right? So I have a question here: 18 months from the date of exam or date of results? 18 months from date of results. Okay, Chaitali. And so yeah, so calculator is allowed for this exam. So what I was saying is that this is a computer-based exam, and maybe you have scheduled for the FAR exam, right? Somebody else, other people in that center, let's say if there is a seating capacity of 50 participants, you will probably be the only one who's taking CPA exam. Maybe other people are taking other kinds of exams, right? Of course, which are required to be taken from a Prometric center, right? So it is not that everybody in that hall will be taking CPA exams. Maybe you are the only one who's taking the CPA exam. Other people are taking other exams like architecture, engineering, medical, fashion, photography, different types of exams. When I was taking my exam, I'm just sharing my personal experience. The guy sitting next to me, and I took the exam from the US because at that time it had not started in India. uh, I mean, in India, it has started only post-COVID. Like, so last 2 years we have been having exams. Less than 2 years, I guess, we have been having exams from India. So I took the exam from the US, and the guy sitting next to me was watching some video, right? And I was wondering, in the exam hall, what video is he watching? And then in the break, when I met him outside, I asked him, what exam are you taking? And he said that he's taking an exam on, cinematography. So he was actually taking some other exam. So therefore, coming back to the point, that the examiner over there, the invigilator, would not know whether calculator is allowed to for your exam or not, because there are different people taking different types of exams, and many exams don't allow calculator. The CPA exam does, right? Invigilator would probably not know. You have to go and tell them that I'm taking the CPA exam, and in this exam calculator is allowed, so please provide me with one. And then if they have that knowledge, they'll immediately give you. Otherwise, they'll ask you to wait for 5-10 minutes. They'll call somebody, confirm this fact, and then once they are satisfied that yes, it is allowed, then they'll come and give it to you. Okay, so there could be a lag of 5-10 minutes before you actually get your calculator, right? This has happened with some of the students in the past, and that's why I'm telling you that right in the beginning, go and tell them that you're taking the CPA exam, calculator is allowed, so please arrange for one. Exam can be scheduled on weekend. Well, Vivek, I think Sundays it is not, prometric centers are not open, but Monday to Saturday they are. So you can take the exam on Saturdays, right? But again, these questions, please confirm with our admin team. Okay, I'm not the best person to answer on these aspects. I'm just sharing the knowledge that I have. But if you have very specific questions, and please recheck with the admin team. Okay, to the best of my knowledge, Monday to Saturday, you can take the exam. Sunday, it is closed. Normal cost of admission and examination fee. Okay, so again, the examination fee is, it's different paper by paper. Okay, now since you have asked this question, let me also clarify that every time you apply for an exam, right, you pay the exam fee, there is a processing fee also, right? So if you apply for one exam, still you will have to pay the same processing fee. If you apply for all the 4 exams together, you will have to pay the same processing fee, right? Therefore, if you apply individually, paper by paper, then obviously it will be costlier for you, because you will pay the processing fee every time, right? So therefore, what students do normally is that if they are ready for 2 exams, they apply for 2 exams together, so that the processing fee is minimized. If you are ready for all the 4 papers, then you apply for all the 4 in one go and just pay the processing fee only once, right? But remember, once you get, okay, something called the NTS, right, which is like, in India we call it the admit card, right? Without the admit card, you are not allowed into the exam center. Here they call it the NTS, the notes to schedule, right? The notes to schedule the exam, basically notes to schedule, NTS, right? So that is like an admit card. Without that, you cannot schedule your exam, and you cannot enter the examination hall, right? So the NTS remains valid for most state boards. It remains valid for 6 months. That means if I apply for an NTS today, right, I will get it in probably two or three, it takes some time for the NTS to come. So let's say 2 weeks. Let's say I get it on 30th of April or maybe 1st May. Okay, so it will be valid from the date written on the NTS. Okay, so let's say if the date written on the NTS is 1st May, then it will be valid for most state boards. I'm saying it will be valid for 6 months. Okay, there are some state boards where NTS remains valid for 9 months, right? But most of the state boards, it remains valid only for 6 months. Therefore, if you're sure that you're going to take the exams in the next 6 months, then apply for the NTS, right? So if you're ready for the exam, all the 4 exams in the next 6 months, then apply for NTS for all the 4 papers in one go. But if you think you're not sure, then just apply for the ones that you're sure of. Okay, let me take the questions one by one. So exam can be scheduled on weekend. What is the normal cost? Okay, so the cost, like I said, it is different paper by paper. For some paper, it could be $250. For some paper, it could be $350. But for international center, like India is an international center, then the fee becomes almost double, right? So if the normal fee is $250 for a paper, if you're taking it from India, then it will become, almost $500, right? So roughly, I'll give you an idea. Roughly, it will come to around all the 4 papers together. It will come to around $2,200 or $2,400. Okay, that is the cost of the examination. CPA license have to be taken within 3 years from passing the exam. Yes, Mahavir. So there is a clause to that effect that that if you're taking the exam from an international center, right, like India, then you have to apply for the license within 3 years of passing the exam, right? But lately they have relaxed that rule. Okay, but that rule is there. It has not been withdrawn completely. It has been relaxed for the time being, probably because of COVID and many other reasons, right? So this rule has been relaxed for the moment, but yes, this rule is very much there, that you have to apply for the license within 3 years. Okay, now 3 years is a big time, so you need not worry about that. 3 years from the time you clear all the 4 papers. So once you get the result of the 4th paper, from that time, your clock of 3 years will start. Okay, so which is a sufficient time. Duration of the exam, Arjun, it's 4 hour. It's a 4-hour exam. All the exams are 4 hours each, right? Will the center provide us pen and paper for workings? They used to provide pen and pencil. Paper and pencil. But now what they have done is they have started providing a transparent plastic slide and a non-permanent marker, right? So you can write on that slide and then erase it and then write again. It's a non-permanent marker that they give you. So you can write as many times as you want, right, on that plastic sheet. Okay, no pen and paper. Is there any major amendments in 4.1 as compared to previous version? So Shanavas, major amendments as in certain topics had been dropped, like pension, right? There were no major amendments in FAR. In fact, I would say there were no additions in FAR. It was mostly deletions, right? So if you have done the topics that are not required anymore, it will be a relief to you. Like pensions has been completely taken off the syllabus. Okay, there are a couple of other topics that have been taken off the syllabus, and we'll cover in this particular batch. We are going to cover 4.1 version. Okay, we don't have to carry our own calculator. No, your own calculator will not be allowed. They will provide you with one. Hi Asim. What type of calculator is provided? The normal basic calculator. Scientific calculator is not allowed, right? Can we buy that offline to practice? No, it's a normal calculator. It's a normal calculator. By the way, let me also tell you that the Becker software has a calculator, inbuilt into the software, and you can start using that in the exam. There will be a similar calculator on the screen as well, right? So you can use that calculator in any case. But if you want a physical calculator, like a separate calculator, the ones that we use, the Casio ones, that you can ask for and they will provide you with one. Okay. Can we schedule our exams on different dates at one time? For example, FAR on 1st and 2nd. Yes, you can. Like I said, Arjun, you can apply for the exam in any order, on any date, book any slot, of course, depending on the availability, right? You have to go to the Prometric Center and they'll show the availability. Out of the available dates and slots, you can choose any. Once we schedule our exam, is it possible to reschedule? Yes, it is possible, but there is a timeline to it. There is a certain time period before which if you reschedule, there is no extra cost. But then once that time period, you enter that time period and if you reschedule after that date, then there will be cost involved. And as you get closer to the exam date and you reschedule, the cost will keep going up. And, I think finally, before 2 days, you will not be able to reschedule. Your entire cost will be forfeited. Okay, so, but to answer your question, yes, you can reschedule. How do we get the certification after clearing all the 4 papers? It will come to you on mail as well as by post. Okay. 4.1 version of the Becker module is valid for up to what period? Well, up to what period? They don't tell us. They tell us that it is valid after a certain period. So for example, let's say after December 31, 2021, this version is valid. Then when the next version comes, they'll tell us, from which date that version will be applicable. Okay, so as of now, 4.1 is the applicable version. Exams, uh, exams will be computer based. Yes, they are computer based exam, but you can't take them from home. Unfortunately, you have to go to a prometric center and take the exam. Okay. Can you please explain NTS? So NTS, the full form is notes to schedule. Okay, but forget about the nomenclature. Basically, it is the admit card. Basically, without that piece of document, you will not be able to enter the exam hall. Forget entering the exam hall, you will not be able to schedule your exam, if you don't have the NTS, right? So NTS is an important piece of document. Carry it with you on the date of exam. And NTS, and you also have to carry a government issued ID, like your Aadhaar, passport, things like that, to prove your identity, that you are the same person who has, nobody else is taking the exam on your behalf. So that you are the person who is scheduled to take the exam, right? So NTS basically is the document with the help of which you will be able to schedule your exam and also enter the exam hall. Normal time to pass all 4 with full-time job, well, that is a very subjective, to each his own. We have had students who have cleared all the 4 exams in 4 to 5 months. We have also had students who have cleared the exam in 18 months. We've also had students who have been doing CPA for the last 3+ years. It depends on how much time and commitment you are able to give. There is no one formula or rule for it, right? It totally depends on the time. See, this is a professional exam, right? It demands commitment. If you're able to give dedicated time to it, you will clear it smoothly in, like I said, people have cleared it in 4-5 months as well. The shortest of out of my students, the shortest was 5 months. There was a person working with KPMG. He took a sabbatical. Of course, he was not working in those 5 months. He took a sabbatical, and then in straight 5 months, he studied for 5 months, took the exam in, I think, a week's time, right? One after the other, one after the other. Within a week, he took all the 4 papers, and in 15-20 days, the results were out, right? So overall, from the time he started to the date of result, it was clearly 6 months he had cleared the exam, but he sat for the exam after 5 months, right? So it is possible. Nothing is impossible. It totally depends on the time that you're able to commit. So let me, since you have brought out this, this point, let me put a word of caution to everyone. Or maybe you can say that it's a suggestion that in these next 4 to 6 months, once you have enrolled for the CPA exam, this should be your topmost priority. Nothing else should be your priority, topmost priority. Nothing else. This should be your topmost priority. So please cancel all your social gatherings, cancel all your vacations. Just whatever time you get, lock yourself in a room and study. If you really want to clear it in 6 months' time, right? Like I said, this is a professional exam. It demands commitment, right? It is not a tough exam, but at the end of the day, it is the highest accounting credential in the United States. So, it demands that respect. You give that respect to the exam, it will give it back to you, right? If you don't give respect, it will not, right? We have had students who have, and it's frustrating if you get 74, right? People have got 74. People have also got 90s, right? The best score that out of my students, the best score in FAR has been 97. 97. Can you imagine, right? In audit, the best score has been 98, right? So people, it is completely up to you. Okay, I cannot emphasize on this more, that you need to give time. After, at the same time, I don't want to scare you off. Let me give you a reasonable number, okay? If you study about 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis, and of course, more on the weekends, maybe 6 hours Saturday, 6 hours on Sunday. I'm saying apart from the class time. Okay, so you will also have the classes on Saturdays and Sundays. Apart from the class time, if you study about 5 to 6 hours on Saturday and 5 to 6 hours on Sunday, and then 2 to 3 hours on Monday to Friday, right? I think you should be in good shape. Uh, and also, more importantly, it is not about the time, right? Because some people grasp things faster, some people take time, they are slow learners. There are different kinds of people who have different approach towards the exam. So even the time is, in fact, I would say that time is not the right measure, right? The right measure is how much are you getting at home, right? In the mock exams, or in the questions, there are multiple test series in the software, and I'll quickly run you through the software. How much are you getting at home? And let me quickly tell you that, once you have done one topic, let's say you have covered the first chapter, right? After class, I will cover the chapter with you, right? Then you will do your own revision. And once you have done your revision like really well, that really, when I say really well, I mean, if you have studied one topic, let's say in the first chapter also, let's say there are 10 topics, okay? The first topic is 5 pages. I'm just taking random numbers here just to explain. Let's say the first topic is 5 pages. You study those 5 pages so well that after closing the book, you are able to recall what topics were there on page 1, what topic was there on page 2, what were the bullet points under that topic. The main, I'm not saying, you have to, there is no rote learning involved over here. There is hardly any memorization that you have to do in this entire exam. Okay. But what I'm saying is you should be able to recall the points, right? As in conceptually what was there. Okay, once you're able to do that, then you go to the questions and start solving the questions. In the first attempt, right, even after closing the book and recollecting all the points, right, you will still not get more than 55, 60. I'm saying this is what average students get, right? You will, in the first attempt at home, you will get around 55, 50, 55, 60, okay, in that range. If you're getting way below that, then that's a matter of concern. Okay, that means you have not done your revision well, or you still have doubts, conceptual doubts, right? But normally an average student, once they have attended the class and they have done their revision, and the revision is so well that after closing the book they are able to recollect what were the topics that I just did, what were the major points under those topics, right? To that extent you have to do. Then an average student get about 50 to 60. Similarly, you go to the next topic and follow this process topic by topic. Then when you come back and do a second revision and then attempt the questions for the second time, you will get around 75 to 85. Okay. And then you follow the process again right through the end. And then when you come back again for the third revision, and this time when you do the questions and simulations, you will cross 90, right? So a minimum of 3 revisions, 3 to 4 revisions is required for this exam. Okay, particularly FAR is quite lengthy. So once you cross 90 at home, you are ready for the exam. Now, some people might reach 90 in a month's time. Some people might take 3 months to reach 90, right? So therefore, I said, time is not the right measure. The right measure is how much are you getting at home. The moment you cross 90 at home, you are ready for the exam. Because even on a, even on the exam day, even if you are not at your best, you still have a buffer, right? If you're scoring 90 at home, then you will easily score, you know, more than 75, even on a bad day. Okay. Okay, so after appearing for an exam, how many days results is announced for that exam? Again, that depends on when you have taken the exam, right? So there are certain cutoff dates. For example, if you take the exam before the 20th of the month, then you get it in just about 8 or 10 days. But if you take the if you have taken the exam after the 20th of the month, then it takes about 40 days. There's something like that. Again, the admin team, see all these admin related questions, admin team will be able to help you with. But I can just give you some general idea. So like I said, there are some cutoff dates. Before that cutoff date, if you take, then the result comes in a certain number of days, which is I think 8 to 10 days. If you take it after the cutoff date, then it takes about 30 to 40 days, right? So students try and take the exam before the cutoff date, which also means that the prometric centers will be full during those dates. So if you plan to do that, then block your date way ahead of time. Okay. Is it necessary to give all the exam from one center, or we can change? You can change. You can take the exam, from any center. First exam from Gurugram, second exam from Bangalore, third exam from Dubai. You can take the exam from anywhere. Doesn't matter. Okay. Can some lectures of FAR be completed from previous batch and some from new batch, as I wish to appear for Reg and FAR by June end? So Chinmay, can you please elaborate on that? I'm not very clear what you're trying to ask. FAR is starting now. Now, as in from the coming weekend, we are going to start with FAR. Okay, so all the lectures of FAR will be conducted one after the other, in the coming weekends. Okay, Saturday, Sunday, like that. For the reg paper, what you can do is you can watch the recorded videos. Right, FAR you can watch live, and reg you can watch the recorded videos. I think that should solve your purpose. Check dates on Google. So Shilpa, you're saying if taking exam before certain date, results will be declared on. Exactly, Shilpa. So there is a cutoff date, right? How many hours of study is suggested per day along with job if we want to clear our exams? I think I've already answered that question. Try to devote 2 to 3 hours minimum on a daily basis, and 6 to 8 hours on weekends. Right? 2 to 3 hours on weekdays, 6 to 8 hours on weekends. How many hours of study is required to be done in a week along with job? Again, Chaitali, I've answered that question. Can you please repeat on the examination day what docs we have to take in the center? You have to take the NTS, you have to take 2 government issued IDs. Okay. Locking room thing, which you just mentioned, is it possible if you're working simultaneously? Well, I'm saying non-working hours, once you're free from your office work and you're totally free otherwise, then just the idea of saying lock yourself in a room was just basically that don't let yourself be distracted. Keep your phone aside, TV off, everything. I mean, just focus on studies, right? So if you have a room to yourself, just get into that room, and just shut the door and just focus on the studies, right? That's what I meant, right? The more focused you are, the better you will absorb, the faster you will grasp, the better you will remember. I mean, these are things that we know from our childhood days, so I don't need to tell you all this. But yeah, uh, all I can say is that this exam needs your time and commitment, right? Don't take it lightly. What should be the strategy to take on CPA with a job, taking one paper at a time? Yeah, take one paper at a time, and because exams are happening in India, you don't have to travel anywhere. You have the flexibility of deciding, earlier what used to happen was people used to travel to US. So there was some limit, there was a limitation that how many times can I travel to US, right? It involves a lot of money. So if I give you my own example, I decided to take all the 4 papers in just one go, right? So I took 20 days off from office, went to the US, took exams, with a gap of 3-4 days, and and back. So so because there was no other option. I mean, I could not have afforded like multiple trips to the US, right? If somebody could, they would do that, but I could not. So I had to decide and take all the exams in one go, in one visit, right? And luckily, I cleared all the 4 papers, so I did not have to go again. But now, of course, you can take the exam from India. So you can take one exam in Q2, one exam in Q3, one exam in Q4. Every quarter you can take one exam. So it's totally up to you. Yes, I think with job, depending again, what kind of job you are in, what kind of work pressure you face, uh, you would know that better, right? The idea is that you should be able to take out 2-3 hours every day. If you're not able to take out that much time, uh, then uh, then you have to space it out, right? uh, right, I hope you get the point. What's your name? Ipvinder. Ipvinder, right? Ipvinder. Ipvinder, have I answered your question? Okay, so Shilpa, so some of us have taken reg lecture for which today is the last lecture and I want to prepare for the exam. I am also working with organization in full time. Please suggest, should I take FAR lecture or should I prepare for reg and then attend recorded lecture or attend live lecture for other subjects? So Shilpa, like I said, for the reg paper, you for one very limited there's a very limited applicability. There are some schedules. Since you have attended the reg lectures, you would know there are some schedules that you attach, right? M1, M2, M3, M4. In that you prepare a reconciliation between book profits and taxable income. So you need to know which, as per GAAP, which expenses are allowed under GAAP but not under tax. Similarly, which expenses are, the vice versa, which expenses are allowed under tax but not under GAAP, right? And similarly, incomes, right? Which incomes are taxable but not shown under GAAP and vice versa, right? So you need to have that much knowledge of GAAP if you want to take the reg exam. Uh, right? So as long as you ensure that, you can just focus on the reg exam right now, take that, and then once you have appeared, once you have taken that exam, then you can start preparing for the others, right? So you could do that. The other alternative is go through all the 4 subjects, attend all the lectures, right? And then start revising one by one and start taking the exam one by one, right? Because remember that you have to clear all the 4. Once you clear the first paper, you have to clear the remaining 3 in 18 months time, right? So if you clear one paper now and then you start studying for the second one, and let's say that takes 3 to 4 months, right? Then you sit for that one, then start studying for the third one, and that takes another 4-5 months. You are basically taking a risk that maybe your first paper will get lapsed, because by the time you reach your fourth paper, it might just cross 18 months, right? So again, if you're very, very confident, then go ahead and follow this order. Otherwise, a safer option is first study for all the 4 papers, attend all the lectures, do your own revision, and along with the lectures. And then once all the 4 subjects are done, then start your actual, the proper thorough revision and start taking the exam one by one. Maybe in straight 4 months, you can take 4 papers and clear, right? So again, Shilpa, the decision will be yours depending on your work schedule, your other commitments, right? Of course, you're free to discuss with me offline if you need any more guidance on this. Is it best to take FAR starting along with audit? Again, there is no one best, you're saying, is it best to take FAR? Well, there is no such best option. Some people take FAR first, then audit, then reg, then BEC. Some people just reverse the order. They take BEC first, then reg, So like I said, there is no one best formula or rule for this. What I can say is that, BEC is considered to be the easiest paper out of the 4, right? And FAR and audit are considered to be the tough ones, right? So some people think that, let me clear the easy one first, that gives them that confidence, it's a confidence booster that, okay, I've cleared one paper, let me tackle the next one. So some people think that let's clear the easy ones first. So at least, I know that I've cleared 2 papers, and then the tough ones. Some people, take the other approach. They say that let me clear the tough one first, because I will have 18 months only to clear the remaining 3. So if I have cleared the tough ones, then the easy ones will obviously, be easier to crack. So again, like I said, there is no one best tool for this, to each his own. Okay, but the combination, yes, combination FAR and audit as a combination goes pretty well, because obviously for audit you have to have knowledge of FAR. So and sometimes, by the way, let me also tell you that in the audit paper they ask you questions directly from FAR. So like sometimes they have asked students to prepare journal entries in the audit exam, right? Journal entries, actually preparing journal entries in the audit exam, right? So yes, FAR and audit as a combination is a good combination to go for. Does it help taking all the 4 papers together from study point of view? Again, if you are studying for all the 4 papers together, you have to give a lot of time, right? It will create a lot of pressure on you. If you have time, then yes, it's a good option. But since exams are happening in India right now, I would say it's not really required, right? Why do you want to take so much pressure on yourself of studying 4 papers simultaneously and then sitting for the exam one after the other, in quick succession? You don't need that anymore. Earlier people would have to travel to the US. So like in my case, I had to do that by force, because there was no other option for me. But now, since exams are happening in India, you don't need to take that kind of pressure, right? Of course, study for all the 4, go through all the lectures, go through all the videos, right? Then, like I said, decide one paper, revise that really well, sit for it, right? Once you clear that, start studying for the next one, because you're just doing revision. You have already done the base work earlier. You're now just revising and sitting for the exam, revising, sitting for the exam, and so on, right? So I would say, Vinder, uh, taking all the 4 papers together will create a lot of pressure. And if you can take that, by the way, if you are you a CA, if you are a CA and you have taken papers, in quick succession, then you have, I would say you have the ability to take pressure. Then fine, you can go ahead and do this. But if you're not a CA and you have not gone through that kind of rigor, then you are risking it. Okay. Sort of license is not required to be obtained in 3 years if you appear for an exam from US. Yes, if you're appearing for the exam from the US, then there is no time limit of 3 years. You can apply for the license anytime in your lifetime, right? Even after 10 years, if you want, you can apply for license, right? Even after 20 years, if you want to apply for license, you can. If you have, but you have, in that case, you have to take all the 4 exams from the US. Even if you take one paper from outside the US, the 3-year clause will apply. Okay. Would you be giving short notes along with marking important topics for exam? What is better for CAs to do, CPA or ACCA? Well, the approach that I would follow is, and the reason for that, the approach that I follow, I'll also give you the reason. See, the approach that I follow is I will take you through the book, right? I'll take you through the book line by line, right? Like 90%, 95%, I'll, take you through the entire book line by line. And the reason for that is they can ask you question from anywhere in the book. Like they can pick up a single word and make a question out of it, right? So generally, this approach has really helped students in the past. Like I said, students have got in FAR, they've got like the highest is 97, but many students have got in 90s, right? 92, 93 is very common amongst, I'm saying this with all my humility, that getting in late 80s and early 90s is very common amongst my students. Of course, late 90s also people have got 96, 97, right? In audit 98 also, but in FAR 97. So the approach that I follow, I'll take you through the book line by line, then we'll do some MCQs, after the end of every chapter, we'll do MCQs of that chapter. And once we are done with the entire syllabus, we'll also do simulations, so we'll practice in the class. And then of course, like I said, you will practice at home. And then if you have any queries from those questions, or any conceptual clarity that you need from any topic, I will be helping you with that. Okay. As far as short notes are concerned, yes, wherever, short notes are required, I will give. But again, I'm putting a word of caution out there that short notes, like, or any notes, even elaborate notes, even if you make them on your own, they are not a replacement of the book. Okay. The book, I hope you all have received your books. If not, please follow up with the admin team and get your books, especially FAR, because we're going to start with FAR from the coming weekend. Your book is going to be your Bible, right? Each and every, like I said, from like cover to cover, from the first page to the last page, each and every para, each and every sentence, each and every word you are going to read through. Of course, in the class, I will do that with you, but even in your revision, you will have to go through the entire book line by line on your own. Don't skip any line, any paragraph, any word, even a word. Okay, because like I said, they can pick a word and make a question out of it, right? And there is only one question difference between a 75 and a 74, right? You are pass or you're not pass. So that one question can make a difference in your result. So don't leave out anything. Okay, will be my, so even if you make notes, they are just good for reference, but you have to go through the book. Your notes cannot replace the book. Okay, they'll help you, of course, they'll help you in revising, but you still have to go through the book. Okay. Shilpa, all 4 exams and appearing from them altogether, not my cup of tea. Yeah, of course, it will take a lot of time and commitment. So, please suit yourself. I mean, take in the order in which you are comfortable, space it out, take one in 1 month or one in a quarter, again, depending on your comfort level. Only thing you have to make sure is you clear the 3 papers. Once you clear the first paper, you have to clear the 3 in the next 18 months. As long as you are ensuring that, you can space out the papers according to your convenience. Arjun, examination and processing fees way too much. Cost is coming around 3 to 4 lakhs. Well, what can I say about that? I mean, that is the cost, right? All I can say is that it's a very good return on investment. Okay, even if you're spending 3 to 4 lakhs, let me just give you a perspective. In the United States, the starting salary of a CPA, okay, without any experience, I'm talking about an absolute fresher who has just done his graduation, and in the US they call it undergrad, right? What we call graduation, they call it undergrad, right? So somebody who has just done his undergrad and has cleared the 4 papers of the CPA exam, right, is an absolute fresher, has never worked anywhere. The starting salary is about $40,000 to $60,000. Okay, so let's take an average $50,000. $50,000 if I convert, if I take the conversion rate at 70 just for the sake of convenience, that's about 35 lakhs, right? So spending 3 to 4 lakhs, if you can get that kind of salary, it's a very good return on investment. Even if you're working in India, the salaries are at par with chartered accountants, right? And you know how tough the CA exam is, right? And how much time it takes and how many papers it has, right? I'm sure you are aware of the CA curriculum. So if after clearing the CA exam, if somebody is getting around 7.5, 8 lakhs package, a CPA after clearing 4 exams, which you can do in 6 months time, right? You will also get 7.58 lakhs package. So it is at par with chartered accountant, the starting salary of CAs. And the bigger advantage I would say is that if you work in India for about a couple of years, a lot of students, in fact, most of my students who have done it in the past, they have moved out, for international exposure. After working for 2 to 3 years in India, they have moved to the US, Canada, Australia, Middle East, and the average package that they go at after 2 to 3 years of experience in India is about $90,000, right? So even if I take $80,000, that's about good 60 lakh rupees in just post qualification 3 years. 60 lakh rupees, it's a very good return on investment just by spending 3-4 lakhs, right? So I would say this is a very good course to go through. It opens, it broadens your horizons, it opens up doors, internationally. You can, although it's an American qualification, the entire world will open up to you. You can go to Canada, US, you can go to Middle East, you can go to Australia, you can go to UK, you can go to Singapore. US CPAs are accepted all over the world, except maybe in some parts of Europe where American CPAs are like not in demand. But other than that, they are accepted globally. There was also one question on, for a CA, is CPA better or ACCA better? Well, I would not get into that comparison. Both are very heavyweight qualifications. US CPA is the highest credential in the United States. ACCA is the highest accounting credential in the UK, right? The only comparison probably I would draw here is that ACCAs are accepted more in Europe and Middle East. CPAs are accepted pretty much all over the world, right? So if you really want to compare, and also in terms of level of difficulty, I would say CPA is probably, or rather ACCA is probably slightly more difficult than CPA, right? So I think given those two comparisons, I think CPA is a good choice. Okay, I will take only one exam at a time. I was just asking to understand. Okay, Ipvinder, you are a CFA and DIP IFR. Wow. Then you don't need to worry. Okay, if you are already a CFA, which is again a very tough exam, then I don't think you have anything to worry for the CPA exam, right? You can, if you want, you can take all the 4 also together. But yeah, feel free to decide. Mahavir, sir, any best state for CPA license? My goal is to go into practice. Well, there is no such best state concept. It depends on, where you want to build your clientele in. If you have, let's say, if you have more potential clients in California, then go for the California license, right? See, the license only means that you have to have your principal place of business in that state. That means basically you have to have your office in that state, right? It does not mean that you cannot acquire clients from any other state, right? It only means that you have to have your principal place of business in that state. And by the way, principal place of business could also be just one room, right? Somewhere in that state, right? And in fact, by the way, some states also allow you to just have a post box number, right? Where any kind of correspondence can be delivered to you, So, like I said, there is no best state as such. Well, in terms of taxes and all, yes, that's a different discussion. Some states do not have income tax, right? I hope you know that in the US, it's a federal structure. So there is a federal income tax, and there is every state has its own state income tax, right? So some states do not have income tax, like income tax is 0. They don't have excise, stuff like that. So from a tax point of view, yes, one could do a comparison and say, these are the good states to have your business in, because you don't have to pay the state income tax at least. But in terms of, your growth opportunities, or in terms of having good clientele, then I would say, if you're targeting Indians as your clients, then, then go to the states where there is huge Indian diaspora, right? So California has a huge Indian diaspora. New Jersey has a huge Indian diaspora. So, so you have to decide, in what context you are asking this question. If it is purely just from an applying a license point of view, then the process is pretty much the same. Like I said, some states may have just 2 months of training requirement. Some state may have 6 months of training requirement. That's about it. And some may have 1 year, and just about a couple of states have 2 years, right? It is still less than the CA articleship period, right? The maximum is 2 years, right? So, and that's not a big deal. But, I think your bigger concern should be, where you can develop your clientele better, and where you can, thrive and flourish better, right? What are simulations? Simulations are basically case-based scenarios, right? They'll give you a case study, and then there'll be questions on that, right? Um, and these are, you don't have to type anything as such. There will be drop down menus, the twisties. You click on the twisty and a list will appear, and you have to click the right answer from that list. So there is hardly any typing involved in this entire exam, except, like I said, in the written communication section in the BEC paper, you have to actually type something, right, in the keyboard. Other than that, it's mostly, the entire exam will be done through the click of mouse. And yes, in the financial accounting and reporting paper, if they ask you to prepare journal entries, or let's say they have given you the cash flow statement, anything that has figures, the figures will have to be typed, keyed in, right? Uh, Everything else will be on the click of mouse. Okay, Asim sir, in case the 3 years have elapsed from the date of clearing the last exam and one wishes to take a license, what would be the process? Will it require one to reappear for the exams? Okay, so, well, we have not had any case like that till now. So honestly, I don't have the answer to that question, like from a real experience point of view, right? Yes, on paper, what they say is that your exam scores will lapse. That is on paper. But has it ever happened with anyone? Answer is no, it has not happened with anyone yet, right? So they are not so harsh on you that they will actually cancel your. In fact, right now, like I said, that rule had been relaxed. Okay, so that rule has been relaxed. It's not even applicable at the moment. But again, please check with admin on this. Okay. Uh, like I said, as per real experience of students, no, it has not happened with anyone as of yet. Okay, nobody's paper scores has been cancelled or made invalid as of yet. Okay, even if they have crossed 3 years, but on paper, yes, that is the clause. Do you suggest going through the Becker lectures along with the ones you give here, as in whatever topics we cover here in one class? Do you suggest going through the same topic from Becker software as well? Well, that is not required. See, the idea of the video lecture is to help you in going through the book. At the end of the day, the book is your Bible, right? Whether, if you are able to understand the book by reading it on your own, you don't need to watch any lecture. If you're able to, if the lectures that I provide, if after going through that lecture, you're able to understand everything in the book, that's good for you. You know, like I said, at the end of the day, the book is your Bible. You have to understand each and every word in the book. Now, whether my lecture is helping you in doing that, or the Becker lecture is helping in doing that, you have to see and decide, right? Whatever is helping you in understanding the book, that is your that is your secret to success, right? So go by that. If you think that Becker lecture is helping you, just watch those. Then don't watch the ones that I provide, or vice versa. You don't need to go through 2 sets of lectures for the same topic. Okay, number of lectures would be there in FAR. By when can we appear for FAR? Okay, so I can tell you the hours. Okay, we will be covering about 100 hours of videos for FAR, right? And on and we'll be having 4-hour sessions, right, on weekends. So that makes it 25 classes, right? 100 hours, 4-hour sessions. So that makes it 25 classes. Now 25 classes, we'll have 2 classes every weekend. So that makes it roughly around 12 weekends, right? So we are talking about roughly 3 months time to cover FAR. Okay, and we are in the middle of April, so mid-May, mid-June, mid-July. So roughly by about the second week of July, we should be done with FAR. Okay, so you can plan accordingly. VGLD team also helps in placements. Well, yes, they help. Like VGLD team helps in placements. There is no guarantee, right? Of course, nobody can guarantee, but yes, there is an assistance. And in fact, if you are in the groups, you would see that, quite very frequently, there are job postings that VGLD team keeps forwarding, and also other participants in the group, they forward, right? People working in EY, they keep forwarding, vacancies in EY. People working in Deloitte keep forwarding vacancies in Deloitte, right? So there is an ecosystem that has gotten generated and developed, and through that ecosystem, you will be able to benefit, right? Advantage and salary for CA along with CPA. Well, I think I have just touched upon that. In India, the starting salary of CPA is at par with starting salary of CA, which is roughly around, anywhere between 7 to 10 lakhs, right? Some people start at 7, some people get 7.5. Well, absolute fresher, I think 7.5. With some amount of experience, it can cross 8, 8.5, 9, right? The only advantage of CAs is that they have gone through articleship, but in the job scenario, the articleship period is discounted. If it's a 3-year articleship period, they don't consider it as 3 years of experience. They consider it as 1 year, 1.5 years of experience. So they discount it, almost 50%. And some companies don't consider it at all. And of course, they are able to figure out whether you have done real articleship, or you have just, you had just registered yourself and never worked there really. So they, in the interview, they will be able to figure those things out, right? So if I completely discount that aspect, the articleship aspect, then I would say the starting salary of CA and CPA is exactly the same. But the advantage of CPA is that, after working for a couple of years or 3 years in India, you will have the opportunity to go abroad, which CAs generally, don't have. I mean, it's very limited. It's not that CAs don't. They also go abroad after 2-3 years of experience, but then the opportunities that they get of moving abroad is less, much fewer than what CPAs get, from the global shared services. So it's a good gateway to the world. Let me put it that way. I have 10 years post-qualification experience and now planning CPA. What kind of return I can expect? Okay. So Ipvinder, with 10 years of experience, I think you would already be sitting at a hefty package, right? And it's great that you are still going ahead and pursuing another course, and trying to upskill yourself, which it's a great quality to have. Well, I would say that in your own company you can negotiate for a promotion and a hike once you have cleared your CPA. Otherwise, you can switch your job, switch jobs, and apply, go to a company that really values or requires CPAs, and there you can expect maybe a minimum 30, and there's no higher limit. You can expect a minimum 30% jump, and depending on your work profile and your art of negotiation, you can, people have got 50-60% jump, even sometimes double also, like 200% jump, right? And now the market has opened up again after post COVID. The market has suddenly opened up, and people are getting whopping salaries, right? So yeah. What's the starting package for a CA plus CPA in India as a fresher? CA plus CPA is also similar range, like a fresher CA or a fresher CPA alone, right? So it is a similar range. You won't get a very big advantage of CA plus CPA in the initial years. Where you will get an advantage of being a CA plus CPA is in the once you start having the relevant experience, right? Then you will have the opportunity of going abroad, or maybe grow faster than a person who's just a CA or who's just a CPA, right? So you'll have an edge over them, not probably at the interview stage or at the initial entry stage, but later. Okay. Okay, does that answer your question, Carby? Now, Nikunj, how we can apply for a job in the US from India after CPA? Well, you cannot apply directly from here. That's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's very difficult now, especially after Trump came into the picture, and now with COVID, in the scheme of things, applying directly from India and getting a job in the US is very, very, very difficult. So what people do is they join a big four or an American MNC in India, work for a couple of years, and then move out, right? And so that's the best way to go out now if you want to, right? You can go to like all these big fours or the American MNCs have offices all over the world, right? Uh, so you can apply and go to any part of the world, internally as an internal transfer from, like we have had students, I have had students who have gone from EY Gurugram to EY Brisbane, from Deloitte Gurugram to Deloitte Sydney, from KPMG Gurugram to KPMG New York, right? From EY Gurugram to EY New York, from EY Gurugram to EY Paris. So people have gone from these big fours and other multinationals, and and any part of the world. Okay, Nikunj, what is so DIP IFR is basically a diploma in IFRS, right? And that is provided by ACCA as well as by the Institute of Chartered Accountants in England and Wales, ICAEW, right? So you could do a DIP IFR from any of these two. And I think what Ipvinder was mentioning, that I think he has done it from DIP, he has done it from ACCA. In case the 3 years have elapsed from the date of clearing, I think I've already answered that question. Can you please repeat? Okay. So in case 3 years have elapsed, well, so first of all, before your 3 years elapse, if you think that you are not going to acquire your license, please write to your state board and tell them why you are not able to apply for the license within 3 years. What is getting in the way, right? And they could help you with that. And at least take a waiver or an extension of time from them. Don't let the 3 years elapse and then start taking steps way ahead of time. If the once you have crossed, let's say, 1.5 years and you have not started your process, please begin your process and quickly take the steps that you can. And then if you think that it's going to just take a little more time than 3 years, then at least inform your state board and take a waiver from them, right? And be, and communicate with them on a regular basis, be in touch with them, apprise them of the situation and tell them the status. Okay. Do you suggest going through the Becker lectures along with the ones you've... No, I think I've answered that question. You don't need to go through 2 sets of lectures. Do you suggest attempting MCQs and simulations from Becker software topic by topic, or after covering the whole subject? Topic by topic. Absolutely topic by topic. Okay. And then once you have covered the whole subject, then you can take like a proper full exam, right? And then at the end, you can also take, there are some mock exams, 2 mock exams, right? And there are mini exams also in the software, right? So you can take mini exams, you can take the mock exam, right, after covering the full syllabus. But once you cover like topic by topic, then you can do the MCQs and simulations of those topic right after the topic you have done, right? You're welcome, Vipinder. Okay, I found myself lacking speed when giving computer-based exam. Any suggestion to speed up? Well, the only suggestion is practice, right? And like I said, there is no typing involved here. Your 99% of the exam will be on the click of mouse. So, I don't think speed should be an issue. If you are comparing it with other computer-based exams where you had to type, then I can understand. Here, there is no typing involved except in the BC paper, that also in the written communication section, right? Other than that, there is no typing involved. You just have to key in the figures in the FAR exam, where you have to write some amount, that only the amount, the figure only you have to type. There's no other typing involved. Timings would be from 12 to 4. No, the far lectures, you mean, they will be from 9 to 1 from coming Saturday, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Mohammed, okay, so no questions. So thanks. Arjun, would you be taking test also? Tests are in the software, right? I will be I'll not be taking tests, but I'll be solving MCQs and simulations with you, where of course I will first ask you to give the answer, right? So if you may call that a test, I will be asking you the answer of the question, you as in all the students, and you can answer in the chat box, like you are interacting with me today. And then of course, I'll tell you what the right answer is and explain, right? So if you call that a test, but I will not be conducting a 4-hour test here, because in any case I will not be able to monitor you, right? So there's no point. So you have to take the test on your own at home, right? When you are ready when you have done your revisions. Is there any drawback for a student who's just a BBA graduate in passing the exams? Well, all I would say is that your basics of accounting, uh, costing, financial management, and economics, the basics have to be very strong, regardless of what course you have done, right? Whether you've done BBA, MBA, BCom, MCom, if your basics are strong, you will not face any problem. If your basics are weak, then you will face problems, right? So make sure that your basics are pretty strong. And if you think your basics are not strong, nothing to worry as such. Just go back and brush up on your basics. Okay, maybe just go through your 11th, 12th accounting, maybe your just pick up your BCom financial management and costing books. 11th, 12th, your whatever book author you have followed, T.S. Grewal, Chaturvedi and Agarwal, whatever author you have followed in your 11th, 12th, and whichever author you have followed in costing and financial management in your college days, just pick those and just brush up on the basics. That's all you need. You don't need to have an advanced level knowledge, right? uh, to begin with. Of course, we will be, whatever level of knowledge will be required, I will be covering that with you, uh, uh, you know during the course of the syllabus. But yes, your basics have to be strong. Okay, your basic, when I say basics, your basic knowledge of journal entries, trial balance, ledger posting, how are financial statements prepared, right? Then your basics of costing, absorption costing versus variable costing, marginal costing, standard costing. Then your economics, your basics of microeco, the different market forms, oligopoly, monopolistic, monopoly, perfect competition, your theory of demand, supply, equilibrium, price and quantity, your marginal utility, your basics of economics, your basics of costing, your basics of financial management, and basics of accounting. These four, if you can cover well, then you have nothing to worry. Rest, of course, for the CPA exam, whatever level is required, I'll take you through those, levels. Okay, does that help, Rachita? Yes, perfect. Shilpa, perfect answer. There is never a drawback for studying more and upskilling yourself. So don't get bothered, if you've done, whether you've done BBA or any other course, it should not bog you down, but like I said, just make sure you brush up your basics well. That's it. One fear is that because of excess cost, there's a pressure to clear the exam. How to overcome the same? Well, I would only say, Arjun, that when you are studying for the exam, don't think about anything else, including the cost. Don't just don't let yourself be distracted by any other aspect other than the fact that you have to clear the exam in the first attempt with flying colors, right? That should be your only objective, no matter what the cost is. The cost is high or low, no matter, I mean, regardless of that, you still have to, your only focus should be, you should be able to clear the exam in the first go, right? So you just keep your focus at that. Then, at the end of the day, put in your best and then leave it to God. At the end of the day, once you have taken the exam, it will not be in your hands. The result will not be in your hands. But before you take the exam, it will be totally in your control, as to how well you are prepared. So do your part well, then leave it to God. I mean, don't get stressed on the cost part. See, the cost is not going to come down, right? The cost is what it is. You can't increase it, you can't reduce it, you can't help it. As simple as that. So just forget about, once you have paid for it, just forget about it. Just focus on the exam. Okay, Arjun, would you suggest to solve Sims chapter wise after going through the lectures and solving MCQ, or to solve the Sims once entire course is finished? Well, I would, either ways you can do that. You can solve Sims after the topic. You can also solve Sims once the course is over. The only thing that I would say is that solve Sims only once you are extremely confident about the topic, right? So if you are, after reading the topic, you have done it so well that you should be able to challenge anyone that asks me anything from this topic and I will answer. If that is your confidence level, then you can do the Sims right after the topic. Okay, and I'm not saying that you will be able to answer all the questions. I'm just saying that that should be your confidence level, that I've done it so well, now ask me anything from this topic, I will be able to answer, right? If that is your confidence level, then go ahead and solve the Sims. Okay. I will be attending your recorded lectures, can't attend live because of timings. How to ask queries? Okay, so for queries, I would request one thing, and this is generally to everyone, not only those who are attending the live lectures, but also to those who are just watching the recorded videos. You are more than welcome to ask queries, but my only request would be, put all your queries chapter wise at one place. Okay, let's say once we have done chapter 1, okay, FAR 1, take your time to revise FAR 1. And then while revising, if you have doubts, if you have queries, keep writing them at one place, and then share the entire list with me in one go. That these are my 5 queries from chapter 1. Okay, these are my 7 queries from chapter 2. Put them chapter wise at one place, and then mail it to me or WhatsApp it to me. I will, if it is more efficient to just write the answer and uh, WhatsApp it back to you, I will do that. But if it is more efficient to call you, then I will schedule a call with you and I will explain your queries, right? So the only thing is, put them all at one place chapter wise, and then ask in one go. Okay. All right, so let me quickly take you through the software, just the overview of how the software works, and then we can end the session. So I'm sharing just give me one moment. Okay, so this is how the software looks like, right? I'm on the home page right now. And here, if you see here on the left where the cursor is, this is the home icon. So I have clicked on this and this is the page that has come up. Now here on the top right, it says which subject do you want to go to first. So financial, auditing, regulation, or business. If I click on financial, it will show financial. If I click on something else, it will show that paper, right? So I click on financial. Right? And then it shows F1, F2, F3, F4. Then there is a mini exam. Then F5, F6, F7, then a mini exam. then F8, F9, F10, then mini exam 3. Then there are 2 proper exams, right? Simulated exam 1 and 2. Okay. Now, if you click on F1, it will show you the modules of F1, M1, M2, M3, M4 till M8. There are 8 modules. And if I scroll down, this is M1, standards and conceptual framework, M2, M3, M4, M5, M6, M7, M8. There are 8 modules in chapter 1, right? Now, if I click on any module here, it will give the lecture. So this is the Becker lecture, not the lecture that I will be conducting. This is the Becker lecture, and then MCQs. So this one has about 38 questions, and the allotted time is 60 to 115 minutes. Now, this is just an indicative number. If you want to take less or more, you could, right? Now, let's say, just as an example, if I click on this start button, it will start showing the MCQs. It also gives you the option, do you want to see all the questions or do you want to see only the unanswered? Unanswered as in, let's say you had solved some questions earlier, now you are coming back to this, right? So the ones that you had already solved, it will not show you. It will only show you the ones that you had not attempted earlier, right? So let me click on all questions, and if I say begin MCQs, it will start showing the questions. And here there is a list of 1 to 38. Okay, so all the questions you can choose from here. Question 1, you can straight go to question 10 or any question, or you can simply do a forward click, forward click, forward click, and it will take you from 5 to 6, 6 to 7, 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, like that. Okay, now if you click on the right answer, it will show green. Which of the following characteristics means that information is reasonably free from error and bias? Now let's say I click on the right answer, faithful representation, then it has turned green. Okay, now if I go to the second question, the objectives of financial reporting stem from which of the following sources? Now the answer here is D, the needs of external users of the information. But if I click on a wrong answer, it will turn yellow. Okay, so let me click on a wrong answer. See, it has turned yellow. So that means it's a wrong answer you've given, right? Green means you've given the right answer. And also, by the way, it shows here the statistics, right? I have attempted 2 questions, one was right and one was wrong. So 50% correct, 50% incorrect, right? So it will also keep on showing you the statistics. Now, if I have to end the session, it will show you a summary of how many questions you attempted, how many you got right, and all that. And by the way, I can also go to the same question. Let me just quickly note down the number. Okay, this is the MCQ number, okay? MCQ number on the, where the cursor is right now, 08726, MCQ 08726. Okay, now if I end the MCQ, here on the left hand side, there is a bar. Here you see a find question icon, okay, a search icon. If I click on this search icon and I type 8726, it will straight take me to that question. Which of the following characteristics means information is reasonably free from error and bias? Faithful representation. Right? So I can access the questions from the search bar if I know the number. If I don't know the number, then I will have to go through the proper route, okay, of going to that chapter, then to the module, and then clicking on the MCQs. Timing is 9 to 1. Well, yeah, the timing is 9 to 1. As of now, that's the official time for the FAR classes. And considering that it is summer time now, 9 is a reasonably good time to start. I mean, later than 9 would be like too late. But you are free to discuss this with the admin team, right? I have no issues in 9 to 1. I have no issues in 10 to 2 as well, right? At least as of now. But my other courses are lined up. So if you have to get this time changed, you have to discuss with admin immediately. Okay, otherwise my time will get blocked and then I will not be flexible. Right now I'm flexible. I'm okay with 10 to 2 as well. So if majority of you feel that 10 to 2 is a better time, we can do that. But I think considering that it is pretty hot now, I think 9 is a good time, but I leave it to you guys. I totally leave it to you. You as a group, you can decide and you can talk to the admin team. Okay, IFRS standards are not covered, Vivek. IFRS standards are not covered anymore. They used to be covered earlier, but now they are not part of the syllabus. Okay. Okay, guys. So do you have any other questions? Uh, if yes, please let me know. Otherwise, we have already overshot by half an hour. No, no more questions. Okay. So guys, thank you so much. No homework required. The only homework required would be once I cover a topic, I would request you to go through that topic and revise that topic, right? Once I have done that already, not before I have done it. Okay. Once I've covered the topic, then after that, I would urge you to revise. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you everyone for attending, and I will see you on coming Saturday. As of now, the time is 9 o'clock. Okay. So I'll see you on Saturday. Thank you everyone. Have a great week ahead.